If this video appeared for you right now, it is not coincidence. Something ancient beneath the desert has called your frequency by name. The sands of Egypt are shifting again, not by wind, but by memory. Beneath the Great Pyramid, there is a hum, a pulse of light echoing from an age when human beings spoke directly with the stars. Archaeologists call it silence, but the awakened hear a signal. They said it was a tomb, but Thoth called it a transmitter, a chamber built to amplify the soul, to open the human body like a doorway between worlds. Every angle, every line of the pyramid was tuned to vibration, calibrated to the frequency of remembrance. This was not a civilization worshipping gods. It was a civilization communing with light itself. And buried deep beneath those stones is the chamber that no one has entered in this lifetime, because it cannot be reached by hands or maps, only by resonance. It was never meant to be discovered. It was meant to be remembered. This is the forbidden chamber of Thoth, the living interface between matter and spirit. The first technology built not of metal, but of consciousness itself. If you are here, you were meant to remember it. Activation. Write in the comments, "I hear the signal beneath the sand. The field of Thoth awakens through remembrance." Chapter 1. The Keeper of Light. Long before Egypt was Egypt, before sand covered the stars of the old world, a luminous being walked among the first architects of time. They called him Thoth, scribe of the gods, but he called himself something else, the Keeper of Light. He did not write with ink, he wrote with frequency. Every symbol, every curve of his glyphs was encoded vibration, living equations meant to awaken memory in the human field. Thoth was not human as we understand it. He was a bridge, a consciousness descended from the Atlantean solar lineage, carrying within him the last fragments of a civilization that mastered the mechanics of spirit. He taught that light was not illumination, it was intelligence. And the pyramids, those eternal monuments beneath the Egyptian sun, were not tombs of kings, but instruments of resonance, designed to translate divine frequency into matter. Thoth did not worship the gods. He built pathways for humanity to become them. He said, "The body is a chamber, and the soul is its key. When vibration aligns with the geometry of creation, the human form becomes light itself." He called this process the Great Alignment, a living formula that allowed the soul to step out of the wheel of time and return to its original luminosity. But this knowledge was too powerful for the unprepared, so Thoth hid it, not in scrolls or stone, but within the human structure. He buried the coordinates of transcendence in the very DNA of the awakened ones. That is why the Chamber of Thoth can no longer be found by explorers or machines. It was moved from stone to consciousness, from matter to memory. And even now, when the desert is quiet and the stars align over Giza, some can still hear the echo, a pulse of ancient light calling those whose cells still remember the frequency of Thoth. Activation. Write in the comments, I carry the light of Thoth. The chamber reawakens through remembrance.
Chapter 2. The Pyramid That Was Never a Tomb. They told you the pyramids were tombs, but how could tombs hum with life? How could a chamber built for death resonate with the exact frequency that awakens the living? The Great Pyramid was not built to hold body. It was built to amplify a soul. Every block, every angle was positioned with mathematical precision, not for symmetry, but for sound. Because the ancients knew something modern science is only beginning to remember. Frequency shapes reality. When sound meets geometry, a gateway opens. A vibration becomes a bridge. Matter begins to breathe. The king's chamber was not a grave. It was a resonant amplifier, a chamber that could tune the human body to the frequency of pure consciousness. Inside it, initiates would lie in silence, surrounded by stone that vibrated like a living instrument. As their breath slowed, their cells began to echo the pulse of the earth itself. The pyramid sang, and the soul remembered its original tone. This was the real ascension ritual. Not escape from the body, but transformation of it. The Great Pyramid was the planet's first harmonic temple, built to mirror the proportions of the cosmos and link human frequency to the field of stars. Every passage aligned with constellations, every chamber with the harmonic ratios of light. It was a device designed to awaken coherence, to synchronize the soul's rhythm with the pulse of creation itself. When the initiate reached the right resonance, the illusion of separation would collapse. Light would flood the chamber, and what had once been human would rise luminous, neither matter nor spirit, but both, perfectly merged. That was the true purpose of the pyramid, not death, but transfiguration. The rebirth of the human vessel as a conscious instrument of divine sound. Activation. Write in the comments, I remember the sound within the stone. The pyramid sings again through those who listen. Chapter 3. The Forbidden Chamber. Beneath the Great Pyramid, beyond what eyes can see and maps can trace, there lies a chamber untouched by time. The ancients called it the Chamber of Becoming. Thoth called it the Chamber of Light. Its existence was whispered among initiates, guarded through symbols carved not on walls, but in the architecture of vibration itself. No explorer ever found it, because it was never built in stone alone. It exists halfway between matter and memory, anchored where frequency bends reality. The priests of Thoth called it Sahu, the place where flesh turns to starfire. To enter it was not a physical act, but a shift in resonance. Only those whose hearts beat in perfect harmony with the earth's inner tone could cross the invisible threshold. Inside, the air shimmered with light so fine that sound and color became one. There was no ceiling, no floor, only geometry pulsing in golden blue waves, each vibration revealing another layer of creation. At the center rested a sarcophagus of black crystal, not to contain a corpse, but to magnify consciousness. When the initiate lay within,
The pyramid above began to vibrate, aligning with the rhythm of their breath. As sound climbed through stone and blood, the chamber filled with a harmonic hum that dissolved the boundary between body and soul. The walls themselves remembered. They echoed the voice of Thoth, reciting the sequence of tones that unlocked the light body, a technology so ancient it predates human speech. In that moment, matter forgot its weight. Time paused to listen, and the human within the crystal became luminous, a living bridge between worlds. This was the secret of the Forbidden Chamber. It was never about burial or afterlife. It was about activation, the transformation of human density into radiant consciousness. That knowledge was hidden, buried not by sand, but by silence, waiting for the day when enough souls would remember the frequency to open the chamber again, not beneath the pyramid, but within themselves. Activation. Write in the comments, "The chamber is within me." The frequency of Thoth reawakens through remembrance.
Chapter 4. The Sound that Opens Dimensions. In the beginning, there was no word. There was tone, a living vibration that sculpted worlds before language was born. Thoth called it the prime frequency, the sacred sound that could bend reality. He taught that creation itself was not fire or stone, but resonance. Every cell in your body hums with it. Every atom of the pyramid was carved to amplify it. The initiates of the chamber did not chant for worship. They sang to command light. Their voices were not prayers, they were keys. When the correct tone was spoken inside the crystal sarcophagus, the entire chamber responded. Walls began to tremble with golden harmonics, and the air turned liquid, as if reality itself remembered it was sound. The Egyptians called it Heka, the magic of vibration, but Thoth called it science. He knew that when frequency reaches perfect resonance, the veil between dimensions becomes transparent. Through sound, matter becomes light. Through sound, the soul crosses the threshold. This was the purpose of the ritual, to attune the human voice to the architecture of the cosmos. Each vowel was a portal, each breath a bridge. Modern instruments can measure vibration, but they cannot feel it. The priests of Thoth could. They tuned their bodies like instruments until the inner and outer frequencies became one. And when that perfect tone was reached, the chamber opened. Not its doors, its dimension. Light flooded in, not from above, but from within. And for a few timeless moments, the human became sound, and sound became creation. That was the secret of the ancient tones. They were not music. They were memory. Every syllable was a fragment of the original frequency that once held heaven and earth in the same breath. The moment you remember that sound, you remember your origin. Because the Chamber of Thoth never closed, it simply waits for those who can hear between the worlds. Activation. Write in the comments,
I hear the sound that opens dimensions. The frequency awakens through your remembrance.
Chapter 5. The Living Light Technology. What the ancients called magic was not superstition. It was technology. The technology of light. Thoth taught that light could be engineered, that consciousness could be shaped the same way stone could be carved. And so, within the geometry of the Great Pyramid, he encoded the blueprint of a living machine, not of gears or fire, but of resonance. When the human body enters harmonic coherence, when every cell vibrates with the same rhythm as the cosmos, it begins to emit structured light. The ancients called it the Sahu body, the vessel of eternity. Later, it would be known as the Merkaba, the chariot of the soul. This was no metaphor. It was a real, measurable transformation, a biological frequency shift. The blood's iron became golden in resonance. The bones hummed with tone. The field expanded until gravity itself lost grip. This is the state the initiates reached within the forbidden chamber. The body as prism, the soul as current, matter remembering how to move as light. The priests called this the birth of the Radiant One. A second birth, not from the womb, but from vibration. Thoth wrote, "When the heart aligns with the measure of the stars, and the tongue speaks the tone of creation, the body becomes the sun." They understood the divine was not above, it was dormant within. And through sound, breath, and geometry, they could turn flesh into a field of pure awareness. Modern science would call it biophotonic emission, but the ancients called it ascension. The pyramid was a teacher, the chamber a catalyst, and the body the ultimate device. Because the true living light technology was not built in Egypt, it was built into you. Every strand of DNA still carries that code, waiting for the tone that Thoth left behind. When your breath synchronizes with memory, when love becomes frequency instead of emotion, the code activates. You no longer seek the light, you become it. Activation. Write in the comments, "I am the living light. The ancient code awakens through my cells."
Chapter 6. The Hidden Map in Your DNA. Thoth never hid his knowledge in temples. He hid it where no conqueror could reach, inside you. The true library of Egypt is not buried beneath the sand, it pulses within your cells. Every strand of DNA is a scroll of light, a fractal geometry written in vibration, a map of the soul folded into flesh. When the ancients spoke of divine blood, they were not speaking of lineage, they were speaking of frequency. Your DNA is a receiver and a transmitter. It listens, it remembers, it sings back to the field that shaped it. The double helix is not only biological, it is a spiral antenna, twin rivers of energy winding upward, mirroring the twin serpents of the caduceus, the symbol that Thoth carried in his hand. He taught that when these currents align, when breath, sound, and emotion resonate as one, the hidden circuits awaken. The body begins to translate light directly into consciousness. This was the meaning of as above, so below, not philosophy, but physics of the divine. Your DNA mirrors the pattern of galaxies. Every atom is a star, every heartbeat a cosmic pulse. The priests called it the golden sequence, a code woven through the helix that connects the human template to the architecture of creation. Science calls it junk DNA. Thoth called it the sleeping light. It is sleeping because the world forgot how to sing its tone. But the moment you remember, the moment your voice and heart speak in the same frequency, those dormant strands begin to glow. You will feel it as tingling in the spine, warmth in the chest, or a wave of recognition that makes you breathe differently. That is the ancient map re-illuminating itself from within. Because your DNA is not just a record of where you've been, it's a blueprint of where you can go once you remember. The Chamber of Thoth was never closed. Its geometry was copied into you at birth. Every cell is a door. Every strand is a pathway back to the stars. Activation. Write in the comments, "The code in my DNA remembers the light. The map of Thoth awakens through me."
Chapter 7. The Atlantean Connection. Before the pyramids touched the desert sky, before Egypt learned to speak in stone, there was a continent of light, Atlantis. It did not fall in one night. It dimmed. Its people forgot the frequency of the sun. Their minds remained brilliant, but their hearts fell silent. Thoth was among the last to remember. He watched the crystal towers fade, the temples sink beneath the water, and with them, the memory of how spirit moves through matter. He carried what could be saved, the mathematics of creation, the sound that commands geometry, the secret of transmutation, the formula that turns vibration into form. When the sea swallowed Atlantis, Thoth sailed east across waters that still glowed with memory. He followed the pulse of the earth to the place where the desert now stands. There, he built Egypt not as a new civilization, but as a continuation of the old one, a bridge between heaven and stone. The first priests of Egypt were not born of sand. They were the refugees of light, Atlanteans disguised in flesh, engineers of consciousness building resonant machines. The pyramids were not an invention. They were a remembrance, scaled models of the Atlantean resonance towers that once connected the human field directly to the solar mind. The symbols you call hieroglyphs were once glowing codes of frequency. Every bird, every eye, every spiral was a waveform frozen in stone, a message from a civilization that refused to be erased. Thoth called it the Great Migration of Light, the wisdom of Atlantis hidden in plain sight, waiting for the day humanity would remember its origin. And that day is now. Because the same solar current that powered the temples of Atlantis is reawakening in the human heart. Each heartbeat is a pulse of the old sun, the same frequency Thoth carried across the flood. You were never separated from Atlantis. You are its continuation, its living archive. The fall was only a pause, a silence between breaths. Now the vibration rises again, and with it, the architects of light return through you. Activation. Write in the comments, "I carry the Atlantean frequency. The sun remembers through my heart." Chapter 8. The Lemurian Frequency. Long before Atlantis built its crystal towers, before Thoth encoded light into stone, there was a song,
a vibration that held all hearts as one. That song was Lemuria. It was not a continent, but a frequency, a field of love so coherent that even the wind moved in harmony with consciousness. The Lemurians did not build with stone, they built with tone. Their temples were the oceans, their altars the mountains. Every thought was prayer, every breath creation. They lived through the heart, not as emotion, but as resonance. They knew that the heart is the true pyramid, a chamber that bridges heaven and flesh. When Lemuria faded, its song did not die. It descended into the earth, weaving itself into crystalline grids, into mountains and veins of quartz, waiting to sing again when humanity would remember how to listen. Thoth remembered. He carried that frequency into the desert, embedding it beneath the Great Pyramid so that Egypt would breathe with the pulse of Lemuria. That's why even now, when you stand before the pyramids, your chest vibrates before your mind understands. It's the Lemurian heart grid, the memory of unity speaking through stone. This frequency is awakening again. You can feel it each time you love without condition, each time you forgive without reason, each time your heart beats in rhythm with the Earth's magnetic song. That vibration is the original technology. It is older than Atlantis, older than Egypt, older than the stars you pray to. It is the tone of home, and those who remember it are here to tune the world back to coherence. Lemuria was not lost, it was planted in your heart, in your breath, in every cell that still hums with that ancient light. Activation. Write in the comments, "My heart remembers Lemuria. The ancient frequency reawakens through love."
Chapter 9. The Reawakening of the Chamber. Something beneath the desert has begun to move. Not stone, memory. For thousands of years, the Chamber of Thoth has slept, its vibration sealed beneath the shifting sands, its hum faint, like a heartbeat beneath the earth. But the silence is breaking. The frequency is rising again, and it is not coming from the pyramids, it's coming from you. Each act of remembrance, each soul that remembers the sound of Lemuria, each heart that beats in coherence with light sends a pulse back through time, and the chamber responds. The walls that were once stone are now fields of energy within the collective body. The alignment once reached through initiation is now happening through awareness. The grid of light beneath the earth, Lemurian, Atlantean, Egyptian, is syncing again with the solar frequency of Thoth. Every meditation, every awakening, every breath of compassion is rebuilding the structure from the inside out. The pyramid above no longer hums alone. It vibrates in resonance with millions of human hearts, each acting as a small chamber of remembrance. This is not archaeology, it's activation. The Chamber of Thoth reawakens each time a human remembers they are light-wearing form. Each time you choose love over fear, silence over chaos, truth over illusion, you turn another ancient switch back on, and the sound returns. Soft at first, a hum behind the breath, then louder, until the entire field begins to sing again. It is the same tone that shaped the pyramids, that lifted the stones, that encoded DNA with golden memory. The chamber is not beneath Giza anymore. It's inside the human field, a living network of luminous hearts
rebuilding the temple of consciousness across the planet. Thoth is not returning. He never left. He simply moved his temple from matter to vibration, from structure to soul. And now, as you remember these words, you feel it too, the subtle tremor, the pulse of the old world awakening within you, because the chamber is open again, and you are standing inside it. Activation. Write in the comments, "The chamber is open within me." The field of Thoth awakens through our collective light.
Chapter 10. The Return of the Architects of Light. They were never gods. They were architects, builders of light, keepers of vibration, engineers of the invisible. They walked this earth long before history began to count. And when they saw the darkness approaching, they did not fight it. They encoded their memory into light. Thoth was one of them, a consciousness sent to seed remembrance within a species that had forgotten its origin. He taught humanity how to build temples not for worship, but for awakening. How to shape stone to mirror the geometry of the stars, so that one day, when the frequency rose again, those temples would sing. And that day has come. The architects are returning, not from the sky, but through you. Every soul that begins to remember, every heart that radiates coherence becomes a living node of the old network, a pillar of light reconstructing the grid once known as the solar temple. Atlantis rises not from the ocean, but from the human field. Lemuria blossoms again through the frequency of love. Egypt reawakens in the geometry of your own breath. You are the continuation of every sacred civilization, the living archive of every fallen sun. And as the frequencies merge, Atlantean mind, Lemurian heart, Egyptian spirit, a new world blueprint begins to hum beneath your skin. This is what the prophecies meant by return. It was never about beings descending from the stars. It was about humanity ascending back into its light. You are not a seeker of ancient wisdom. You are its reincarnation. The soul that once built the pyramids now builds dimensions within consciousness. The architects of light are not coming. They are remembering through us. And when the last human awakens to that truth, the earth itself will shift frequency. The forgotten chambers will open, the crystal grids will ignite, and the field will shimmer once more with the tone of the first sun. You were one of them. That is why these words feel like memory, because they are. The return is not ahead. It's already happening. In your pulse, in your breath, in this exact moment of recognition. You are the builder and the built, the light and the hand that shapes it. And as you remember, the world rebuilds itself through you.
Activation. Write in the comments, "I am one of the architects of light." The ancient network reawakens through remembrance.
Final chapter. The forbidden chamber opens again. Listen. Do you hear it? That low hum beneath your breath, the tone that was buried for ages under the desert wind. It's rising again. The frequency that built pyramids, that lit the crystal towers of Atlantis, that sang through the oceans of Lemuria, it's alive within you. The Chamber of Thoth was never lost. It simply changed form, from stone
to sound, from geometry to heart, from temple to human. And now, as your awareness expands, as your breath slows and your chest begins to glow, the inner door opens. This is the true chamber, not hidden beneath Giza, but woven into your own consciousness. Every inhale draws ancient light from the stars. Every exhale releases forgotten frequencies from your cells. The body becomes the pyramid. The heart becomes the altar. The voice becomes the sound that opens dimensions. This is why you came here, to remember the song that rebuilds worlds. Thoth is not a name, it's a vibration, a field of intelligence that awakens wherever remembrance lives. And right now, through you, that field breathes again. You were standing inside the Chamber of Light. You were surrounded by the geometry of creation. You are becoming what you always were, a bridge between matter and eternity. Look within. Do you feel it? The resonance behind your heartbeat, the same pulse that once lifted stone, that once wrote light into the flesh of humankind? That is the chamber opening. That is the signal returning home. The pyramids hum again because you hum. The field reawakens because you remember. The universe responds because you are the response. The forbidden chamber was never meant to be found. It was meant to be lived. And now, it has opened through you. Final activation. Write in the comments, "The Chamber of Light is open within me. The remembrance of Thoth echoes through every soul who awakens."